Peace. Tonight, I wanted to jump into the subject of love, loving yourself, loving others, loving full circle. I wanted to touch on this topic because there's so many of us experiencing this thing called love, and we tend to run from it when there are certain circumstances or conditions that's been placed upon us, and we run from love. And the first form of love that we run from is self-love, because before you're able to truly give someone unconditional love, you have to love yourself. You have to be okay with where you are and who you are. And it may feel genuine to them when they receive this love that you give, but when you're not loving yourself, the genuine is because of their perception. Because truth be told, when you love yourself, you exude and project a force that is so beautiful that everyone wants to be around it. Everyone is attracted to it. And that's what I mean by you must love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself and you're wanting to love someone else, and sometimes we use those words like I love you and I love you too, when you use that type of language and you're not truly loving yourself first and foremost, you're not giving the best love. Your love is not just. And when your love is not just, it's hard to create a balance between your being, because you start experiencing more chaos, right? So when you're not balanced and your love is not just, you begin to bring forth an understanding of reciprocity, because now you're recognizing that every time you project this love and it's genuine and it feels good, but you don't really truly love yourself. So the genuine is not for you, it's for others because of their perception of you. So you've always been beautiful. You've always brought that positive energy to people, but something about when you went home at night and you went into your room or you went into your space or your private sector, you didn't feel that love that everyone else felt from you all day long. And this is how we get genuine versus true, unconditional, unadulterated love for self. We get it confused. And I wanted to talk about that love and that justice, to be just with your love, to be balanced within your love, right? Understand the reciprocity that you get back what you put out. So you're putting out this fake love, but it's genuine because you really do care. You really do want to synchronize with other humans. But the struggle is truly within yourself. It's not with other humans, it's with you. So first and foremost, you must learn to love you. And when we learn to love us, our love is of balance. It's of just. It's understanding the reciprocity, divine reciprocity. You get back what you put out. And also when you project this love, when you start feeling that self-love, when you clean up the ability to be balanced in love, to be able to be truthful about love, okay, to be able to harness that love to get the reciprocity of what you desire, right? Because whatever you put out is coming back to you in another form. So if you're giving out this love to someone because you care and you're being genuine, yes, you're genuine. But when you get at home by yourself, you hate you. You hate what you are. Everyone else loves you, but you can't see what they see because you refuse to see you first, right? So I wanted to come and talk to you about that tonight. We're going to talk about love in 5 formats, right? I've already mentioned a few, and I wanted to bring it out to you in conversation so you can understand how I connect these words, connect these terminologies as relate to love. But the 5 things I want to talk about is love. Loving yourself, loving others, and loving full circle. There are 5 things that you have to do to create that space. And that's to understand the justice of love. How is love just? Understand the reciprocity of love. Understanding peace of love. Understanding truth of love, right? Understanding balance of love, right? Peace, truth, reciprocity, balance, right? Justice, just, right? So those are the 5 things. So we're going to deal with truth first. When you're talking about love, and I said in the beginning that your love can be confused. Your genuine love towards others can be confused with self-love, because to the world, they see this nice, sweet person and she seems so amazing and he seems so great and he always so kind and he loves us so much and it feels great. It's genuine. Your perception of him has been received well. But the problem is that he or she is not happy with themselves. So that's how we get confused between genuine love versus true, unadulterated, unconditional love, right? Because genuine love is conditional. It's genuine. But when you're talking about unconditional, there are no conditions attached to this. So this is how we get it confused, because unconditional love has to start with you. You have to love yourself for everything that you are. Every single thing that you are in this very moment. You have to love yourself for that version of your being, right? And when we learn to love ourselves unconditionally, we begin to free ourselves from the traps or from the gates or from the seats of this realm. And that means we learn to free our spirit, so our spirit can be connected to us, so we can connect to it, so we can connect to the higher realms, what we call God, consciousness, energy, spirit, essence, universe, multiverse, multidimensional. The universe, the one verse. We call these things many names, but you learn to access it in peace, balance, love. Love is peace. Love is balance, right? You learn to address this unconditional love in all these formats. So I wanted to start with truth. When we're being truthful with ourselves, we understand that the moment we're in, we have to be honest about those moments. And that is the process that you have to take in order to create this love of uncondition, right? You have to learn to know that this environment that I'm in is not conducive to my being. Therefore, I must leave. Therefore, I must take another step. Therefore, I must go back to the drawing board to see what is going on in my space, right? So you have to be honest about your space first and foremost. You have to look at your space, because what is around you is a clear picture of what's within you. So you start checking out your space, your friends that you associate with, your family, the connections that you have, the job or places of career that you're in, all these different aspects of your being. Look at this. Look around you. Look at it. What is it like? What am I like in these moments? Go through those moments. It's okay to not be okay. I had to take a deep breath with that, because it is so important to be in a space where you know that it is okay to not be okay. And I want to talk about that energy force that you feel that you always have to be okay. The goal is to grow from the moment as you experience it, learn from it, and apply it to gain wisdom. This is a term that we call Sankofa, right? If you haven't heard of Sankofa, go look up Sankofa and research the history of Sankofa, because this is what we are wanting. We're wanting to tap into our roots. Every single being wants to tap into their roots in this very moment. You're watching this video because you're searching that space to tap into who you are. What are you? Who are you a part of? Where did you truly come from? Who is the God that you serve? The force, the light, the universe, whatever it is that you call the greatness of what we all are. You're searching, right? So be honest with yourself. Start looking at your environment. Start understanding what moves you into a lower vibration, what moves you into a higher vibration. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to those beings that create a certain space when you're around them, right? So you have to start being honest. Truth is so important when we want to deal with love, right? So after truth, we have, I want to bring forth justice, right? How just, and I don't want to use the word justice. I want to use the word just. What is just, right? That's the same example of truth, but it also means what is justice to love. What justifies love, right? And when we think about love and justifying what we desire, what is it that you desire that makes your heart feel light? This is that just scale of a balance. That what is your heart like when it is light? What is happening? It's almost the same as examining your space. That's exactly what just is about. It's what is just for the scale to be what it needs to be. You are the scale of your own weight, right? So you're carrying yourself. Are you vibrating low and high in balance, or you are high here and low here, and everything is going on that you don't quite understand in this moment? Okay? Is your lower scale all the way here and you're tipped off on your lower scale, right? Is it heavy? Are you vibrating your high frequency? Is it balanced? That means you understand that every moment you experience, there can be a form of chaos, but you know how to balance it back to bring you into a state of tranquility, right? So this is what I want to move from. We talk about truth and justice. What is justice and truth is once you understand what is just, you have to be honest with yourself to execute that justice. That means to continue to have that justice, you have to be willing to say, okay, when I'm around this force, when I'm in this space, this just weighing against myself, it feels light to my heart or it feels heavy to my heart. And once you understand that, now you have to be willing to say, I got to live the truth, right? So the truth is you want to be in a space that is conducive to your being, meaning everything that is not conducive to your being, you must learn to detach from it. Understand people grow. People grow. So just as you let people go, you can say that they're growing too. Speak that they're growing too. Don't just let them go and say, I release you. Say, I release you. I'm done with you, but I speak growth over your life, right? So you speak that because you never know what may happen when you start growing too and they start growing too, that you may come back together. This is how you see a lot of relationships, friendships, family ships. People come back together if they're growing. If no one is growing, it's going to be constant chaos, right? So somebody has to grow. So in chaos, meaning it's going to be a constant cycle of a repeated cycle that you're standing in, this repeated cycle. So you have to be willing to grow from that cycle, okay? And I want to talk about these 5 things of love. And that's 1, we spoke about it earlier, and then which was truth. And then 2 is justice. And I want to move us into divine reciprocity. How are you understanding reciprocity? Do you understand that when you give out this love, it's genuine and it's beautiful, but because you have a real true struggle with loving yourself, right? Or even those who don't give out beautiful love of genuine heart, even though they don't love themselves, but they are always kind to others, right? There are people like that exist, right? So there are some people that don't love themselves as well as the world can see it too, because they're very hateful and mean, right? So these are these 2 forms of love that I like to key in on. A person that is kind but don't love themselves, and a person that doesn't love themselves and doesn't love others, or doesn't show love or project love to others, right? So I want to talk about reciprocity. So if you're dealing with these type of forces, just imagine that you're giving out this love and it's kind to others, but you go home and hate yourself. You're going to project everything back into your life, what you do not love about yourself and what you are amplifying your focus on. Because we all have things of ourselves that we need to tweak and increase. And it's daily. It's a daily thing because you are always there. So you may be focused on being loving to people today and you'll do great. And then tomorrow you struggle again. That's because every day is a day to day. In every moment, in every day. Each moment in the day is a moment of balancing. It could be chaos. It could not be chaos, right? So understand that what you're projecting out is what you feel within. So if you do not love yourself and you're struggling with finding peace within yourself, you're going to project that out into the universe. And you're so focused on it because even though you've made everyone stay and you have brought so much joy to other people, you get home and you're so frustrated and upset with yourself, right? And you're mad at yourself. You don't love yourself. You're like, I wonder why am I feeling this way? Like, how does everybody think this? And then I don't think I'm this. It's because you haven't taken a moment to love you, have gratitude. Understand that you have been projecting this outward because every day instead of you focus on the beauty of the world, or every day instead of you focus on those who see you for what you are and they still love you, even if you don't love yourself, right? Every day if you focus on that, you'll start projecting yourself into that force. You'll start projecting yourself into a different space. Because reciprocity is real. What you put out comes back to you. Think about a mirror being in front of you, and every time you speak out, that mirror, who do you see? Just think about that each time you speak out. Because remember, your life is not about other people when it comes to who you are first and foremost. You are unique in your own design. Your design is not about other people's designs. It's about yours. So that means everything you do is going to affect your design. It's going to affect your purpose. It's going to affect what you truly are. So if you have this imaginary mirror in front of you, and every time you speak out, every time you think, every time you write, and you speak out these words, They're coming back to you because you're looking at yourself in the mirror. It could be 50 people in the room next to you, standing there staring at you. It could be someone sitting next to you. It doesn't matter. When you speak out, you're speaking into yourself as well. You are your first company, right? You are your first form of company when it relates to connecting. So, of course, you're going to be one of the first to be affected. So this is why it's important that you understand reciprocity. This is reciprocity, speaking out and getting it back, thinking it out and it comes back. Your actions are beautiful. Yes, they are. Your actions are beautiful. You've been kind to people. You've been nice to people, but you hate yourself. You do not love yourself. You do not appreciate yourself. You don't adorn yourself with the love that it deserves, right? This is because you struggle. You struggle with loving you. And now I want you to understand it is okay to love you. It's okay to take this notion of truth and justice and reciprocity to apply the self-love energy, right? So the fourth thing I want to speak about is balance, right? I've mentioned it earlier, especially when I was talking about just, because you're weighing the scale. You're constantly like, okay, I feel, is this justice to my heart in this moment, in my experience, or is it not? And then you're dealing with the idea of truth. Once you find out that it's not just to your being, pardon me, once you find out that it's not just to your being, you then recognize and activate the truth, and you say, I will go with this truth, or I will lie to myself and act like I don't know that this is not just to my being, right? So then once you understand that process of just and truth, and you go into reciprocity, because now you decided to project out a lie to yourself because you knew that this moment you were experiencing at that time, or in this moment, you could be experiencing something right now and something brought you to this video, right? And in this moment, you have an environment around you. You may be in your room, you may be at a workspace, but there are other forces around you, right? And you're sitting here and you're like, oh my goodness, this reciprocity. So now you done went through this factor of, is this space conducive to my heart space? Is it light? Is it just, right? And then you speak the truth. And if it's not, you say it's not, and I'm leaving this space, right? Now you'll be able to move in the idea of reciprocity because you have completed an action, of course, right? A response to something that you weighed in the moment, and you've created that space to project out, right? Now you're going to receive the reciprocity. Reciprocity is going to occur whether you're projecting out what is conducive or not, right? But this reciprocity will now be fulfilling to your being because you're moving in just, you're moving in truth, and you're moving in the space of understanding reciprocity. You're receiving it. So not only do you need to know what reciprocity is, you need to receive reciprocity, because if it's not conducive to your being, things are going to keep coming at you. So you need to pay attention to what you're projecting out, right? Love yourself. And the fifth thing I want to speak on is, the fourth thing is balance, right? We talked about balance, balancing your scales. Now that you have all this information, you understand reciprocity. How do you continue to balance this in a moment? You don't say, oh, I will be perfect and positive and loving every single day towards myself. No, understand you're still going to experience the chaos, right? There are going to be things that happen outside of your control. There are going to be things that you've created a long time ago in your frequency, and it's coming back now. Because if you think about the planet, some things changes chirons and aspects and directions and perspectives at its own time. So sometimes we do things and project things into our life that may show up later, right? So even if I start living this constant day of peace, and I'm experiencing constant day of peace moving forward, right? And you decide to make that choice, understand that there have been things that you put back out into the universe a long time before you got into this space. It was a long time ago before you got into this space, but it has to catch up with you. So you are living this space of peace and abundance for a few days or a few weeks and a few months. And then boom, somebody comes and it knocks you off the square because you're visiting your old reciprocity, right? Things move at its own aspect. So when you understand how do you balance that out, you first and foremost recognize that that's going to happen. That peace is not a constant state of being. It's a constant choice that you make to be in a constant state of being, right? To be. You have to make the choice each moment before you can be at peace in each moment. So it's a day-to-day thing, just as simple as taking your feet out of the bed and placing them on the ground. That's all a process of judging, balance, truth, right? Reciprocity. So you have to understand your body is working off the same system. To calculate the ratio of your body hitting the ground with gravity intake and all these different elements in place to make sure your feet touch the ground in proper spatial distance, right? So your body is living off this factor. And the last one is peace, right? So after you balance it all, you have this form of peace. Because once you go through weighing the scales of just and understanding the truth that you need to do, once you found the justice of the experience, then you have to speak over the truth. And then you have to understand reciprocity and be in connection with that. And then you need to balance it out and understand that everything will happen daily. And it's okay to not be okay, because the goal is to grow from it. The goal is to grow from it, to learn more, because there are a lot of mistakes to make in this world as it relates to your being. The goal is to not make the same mistake over and over again, so you can continue to learn other mistakes, so you can become perfected in that one, so you can continue to grow towards all of what you are. Right? Is that not peace? That perfect imperfection? That unique design of what you are? So once you start understanding this process, they call this ma'at. Once you start understanding this process, right? These 5 things of love, for justice, for truth, for reciprocity, for understanding, reciprocity, right? Balance, peace. You start loving you more, because now you're more critical of your spiritual experience, and not critical in the aspect of hard on yourself and over analytical. No, you are constantly connecting to it to observe, right? So those are the 5 things I wanted to speak on to help you understand the aspect of love. Thank you for being present with me. I love you. Be sure to follow YouTube channel, Instagram and Facebook, Crowning Your Essence. You have been beautiful. You are beautiful. I love you. As soon as you love yourself, you'll continue to love others, because in the reciprocity will come back to you. And that'll be full circle. So this is the aspect of loving you, to love others, to love all, right? Thank you. Peace, love. Be well. Be happy. And thank you for being my aspect in this moment for me to crown your essence. Peace.